of admin questions than anything else. So let me just, there's one thing I just need to add to the presentation, and then we can start going with basically 3 questions, and then we can talk logistics. I think now on the chat as well, there's been a lot of talk, so we'll do the 3 questions, and then we can talk logistics and the things around that. Okay, so I received 3 questions. So I just quickly want to at least go through them and show you guys how to do it. And then we can talk nearly final logistics. And since the TUT letter was also sent now in the last 15 minutes, and just some feedback from a lecturer and things that was tried and he couldn't get right. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so let's go through the 3 questions. I think it was part of maybe now one of the what was it, exam preps. So let us just look at that, and then we can go into the discussion of your exam of Thursday. Just want to quickly do this, add something else. Interesting. Okay, let's try again. I just want to. That comes out of your textbook. Okay, so let's look at this one quickly and see how we can quickly answer this and look at it. So given that Z is standard normal distribution, what is the value of Z such that the area between minus Z and positive Z is 0,2358? So basically, what we need to work out is and they say Z, so it might be again that some of you will have a negative in your exam, some will have a positive, but what they are telling us is this part is 0,2358. Okay, so if, let me write that just better. Okay, so you need to, there's 2 ways of doing it. So if that part is 0,2358, we need to divide it by 2 to get what this part will be and what that part will be. So let me just get my calculator that we do this right. 0.2358 divided by 2 is 0.1179. So this area is 0.1179 and this area is 0.1179. So what we can then do is that whole area will be the 0.5 plus 0.1179. So 0.5 plus that, which gives us 0.6179. Okay, so then with that we can go to the positive table, the Z table, and in here we need to look for 0.6179. Okay, so there it is, 0.6179. So the Z value is 0.30. So the Z value then is that, so it's 0.3. So let's just look if that was one of the options, 0.3. Okay, so basically they tell us that we have a Z, we need to work out the Z. They give us that area in between. Because they tell us it is between minus Z and Z, we know that the Z will then be, on this side, it then would have been minus 0.3. And on this side, it would have been 0.3. Okay, so it is a bit different where we would normally get the Z scores and you get the probability. Here they given you a probability and you need to work out the Z score. Okay, so I hope that is a bit clear now. I think this, and you guys can just correct me, but I think this was on the mock exam. Then, is there questions around this still, or can we quickly go to the next one? Happiness. Yes, there's a question. Please ask.
Afternoon.
Hi.
My question is, where do we get this 0.5?
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
So that is, let me. Yeah, so we need to remember from, because we're working with a normal distribution, that we're working with symmetry. So normal distribution where the Z is equal to 0, that will be in the middle. This side is 0.5 and this side is 0.5. So if we get values that is sitting here and here, the only thing that we need to nearly get, and let me just, that is that we need to get nearly what this portion is, because the other portion is 0.5. So they've given us that portion and this portion. So that is why they've given us 0, what was it, 2358. Because it's symmetry, we know that basically that area, this area of 1 and the area of 2 is exactly the same size. So that's why we can divide that by 2 to get this area. And let's just color that whole area in with another color. So we can get that by dividing by 2. So then we have that area, we know that the other whole area is 0.5, so that we can add the two together. But this is because we're working with a normal distribution, and we know that the normal distribution is symmetrical. So that's why they could also have asked you in the exam, given that Z is standard, that you work out the negative Z as well, which then would have just been minus 0.3. Okay, does that help a bit?
Yes, thanks.
Okay, cool. Okay, then there was this question, and I needed to go and nearly go back to the textbook because I don't know if it was in the study guide about the empirical rule, and let me put it in another slide that it is when I share it with you guys, um, that you have it as well and can use it. So if you look at, and I think when you get this in the exam as well, look at the hint. I think the hint is very important in so when they give you a hint in the exam, do what they suggest. So here they say they give you data. Then they ask you which of the following statements about the empirical rule is correct. Okay, so hint, calculate the three measures of location to comment on the distribution and the standard deviation to comment on the empirical rule. Sure, was this in the mock exam? Okay, so that is quite a lot to do. So let's quickly see. Measures of location is mean, median, mode. So is there easy way to look at this? So that's the top, that's the bottom, that's the top. So things that you nearly can exclude already is values that does not include those two numbers. So if I look at it, 122 does not fall into that, and 478 also not. So that would not have been an answer. 1754254. So also not. So you will probably start to look at that one. So what I would have suggested, and I think so let's look at it. It is ranked. So there is a mode of 300. Your median will also sit between those two because your median will be 300 plus 300 divided by 2. So it will be interesting to see what is your mean. So let's just take those two out. Let's just first do that. So you could have used Excel to calculate this. You could have used your calculator also to just add and see what the mean is. So let's quickly, I'm just going to quickly add all the numbers together and see if I get the mean, because then we know that the mean, median, and mode might be the same. So I hope I'm getting it right. So the sum, what I got was 4800. That divided by 16 is 300. Okay, so we know the mean, median, and mode is exactly the same. So we know, so it's not distributed negatively, because when mean, median, and mode is exactly the same, we know that we are dealing with a bell-shaped normal distribution, so it is not negatively or positively skewed. Okay, so it's definitely not positively skewed. Then if you take these two into account, minimum and max, so it is not 175 and it is not 425, so that can't be. Minimum max also not be, so then this will be your answer. And how you can check that is also to say, okay, but let's see, where is 247? 247 will be approximately there. 253 will be approximately there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of the 16 variables lie between that, and that is approximately 68%. So if you took those two, it should have been 100%. And here you can see, so according to the empirical rule, it should have started at 180. Okay, so that is, and where it is as well, but I nearly did it the easier way around, that you don't need to use formulas or anything. I just looked, and I think it's important. So when you guys see this, the hint, look if the mean, median, and mode is is the same. If that is the same, you can automatically have cancelled those two out. Then my next step will be look at your minimum and maximum. So your minimum and max, because it might be different again for the different papers that you're writing. So with the minimum and the maximum, I could see, okay, I'm looking for 180, so that is 175, so that is automatically not the answer. That we already have excluded. My starting point is 180. My finishing point is 117, so it can also not be E. And then what I did just to check if A is correct is to say, okay, they tell us the data lies between 247 and 353. So then it is the data that's bigger than 247, but smaller than 253. Then I just count how many there is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 11 divided by 16 will give you 86 or 68%. Okay. So again, the rule is there, but it may be easier to do it this way around. If these measures were not the same, then basically the empirical rule falls away. So I think that is important. So look at that. So the empirical rule only applies for data that is bell-shaped. So if it was not bell-shaped, and the only way it can be bell-shaped is if a mean, median, and mode is exactly the same. So if it was not bell-shaped, then none of the things that we're talking about, the empirical rule, would have been correct, because then you can't assume it because it is not bell-shaped. So just that's why they nearly tell you first to work out if the mean, median, and mode is exactly the same value, so that you can use the empirical rule. Okay, so I think that is important from the empirical rule. And if you have the textbook, this is on page 68. But for the guys that don't have it, I have now included it as well. So again, you will see there's a bit of theory in this part as well. So this is out of chapter 3, so study unit 3. So just be wary for that one. Also in your assignment, there was a question on, what was it? Not standard deviation, but something else. I'll get to that now. It was also somewhere in the book, but I'll remember it now when we get to the next question. Okay, so then the third question was about looking at nearly information that they give us, and they ask us then to nearly guess what will be the interval. So what we are looking at here, and let's read the question, and and let us also write down what the formula is when we look at confidence interval. Okay, so consider the population mean confidence interval estimate provided in the list of options below. The confidence interval estimates are for the same population mean. Okay, so that stays exactly the same and are calculated at the same confidence interval level. Okay, so that automatically stays the same. Using different sizes or sample sizes. Okay, so that's the one that is changing. So where N1, N2, N3, N4, and N5, with N1 being the smallest and N5 being the largest. So let's put in numbers. I think that is, so it nearly feels to me that that is going, ooh, that is going to be 50. Um, let's say that is 1,96, and let's say standard deviation is for the first instance is let's make it 10, and let's take the smallest in also 10, and then we'll increment it by 10 every time. So which one of the confidence intervals estimate was calculated using sample size N4? Okay, so let's see what we get if we do this. So 10 divided by the square root of 10. Let's now be, let's do it differently. Let's make it 100. Just easier for me to calculate. So it will be 10 divided by 10, because the square root of 100 is 10. So that will be in the end 1, 1 times 1.96. So we'll get on the one side 51,96, and on the other side would be 48 comma something. Okay, so let's say it is 48 and 42, so that we can. Okay, so that was for N1. So let's say N2 is 200, N3 is 300, N4 is 400, N5 is 500. So let's just see what the impact is when we take N5. So 10 divided by 500 square root times 1,96. So what we see is that with N500, I just want to write down N100 at 48 and 52, with N equal to 500, we have a 10. If you have calculators, you can do it with me. 10 divided by the square root of 500 So 10 divided by the square root of 500 is 0.44 times 1.96 is 0.87. So basically we will have on this side 50.87. So what we'll see is that if we round it off, it becomes smaller on that side, and on that side it moves closer to 50. Okay, so basically how we then look at this is to say, okay, which one on this side is the second highest number? Let's say, sorry, the second lowest number, and it should then compare to this side, the second highest, because we go from smallest to highest, we go from highest to smallest. So I would have said let's first see smallest to highest. Smallest is that one, highest is that one, second highest is that one. So the opposite would now need to be true, that it is the second lowest. So let's see, that's the highest, that's the lowest with 54, and where that one is the second lowest. Okay, so D would have been your correct answer. So you basically need to see which one has, how can we put it, the second smallest gap. That could have been also a way to look at it. So let's look at it from that point. So 54 minus 46 is 8. 58 minus 42, I think that's 16. 61 minus 39, oof, that is 22. 56 minus is 12, and 66 minus that is 32. Okay, so you can see the gap, the second smallest gap is that. So if I ask us N5, it would have been the one with the smallest gap. N4, second smallest. N3, third smallest. N2, the fourth smallest, and N1, the fifth smallest or the biggest. Okay, so that is nearly, again, it's not something that was really in any of the assignments. It was a bit there, but there would have been actual numbers to it. So I think what makes this difficult is that you don't don't see numbers. So what I normally do when I see something like this is just just write the formula down for you and work out a few with numbers, just to make it simpler, because I will not be able to get this from just looking at it. So I would, and I know I showed these numbers, but I would rather have it where I know that I can work with a square root. So I would use numbers like 16 rather 25, 36. So at least you know that when you square root it, you get actual full number and not decimals like we've got with that n equal to 500. then you can still see that your N is increasing and you can still use that and just make it simple for yourself. But this one, I think this is quite a difficult one, um, because they don't use numbers. And again, how this now can be different in the different exam papers is that they ask N3 or N2. So they will probably keep the same question. They will just change those options that you need to pick. Um, yeah, so again, something something a bit different than what we are used to. So if there is, um, when you do the mock exam still, if there is questions on it, please send through to the, see there is maybe one or two other questions. So we, Lynn, I see you sent through some questions.
Yeah, just one. Yeah.
So I will answer that on the group
Okay, cool.
during the um during the during the night. So don't worry. I'll look at that because it seems like that is all of the mock exam. So I'll see how we can just look at that. So let's quickly and let's talk about the exam because there's now been quite a lot of of things that was asked. And yeah, so what have happened is, so the lecturer did ask about having it in sessions and extending, and so the exam department just didn't want to go for that. So unfortunately, the exam is set, um, from quarter to 8 to quarter to 11. So from 7:45 to 10:45, and basically the exam will close at 10:45. So you've got a bit of leeway in that, but not really. Um, so I know, and there's lots of students being affected by load shedding in this stage, and that's why the lecturer wanted it nearly split during the day, but I just didn't want to budge. So what we were told is, if and you can, so we know it works on cell phones, the Moodle or the mock exam, because students have been testing it on cell phones. So it's not ideal, um, that that you do it on a cell phone, but if that is nearly your only other option, because unfortunately the other option is that, and I don't like this at all, nearly even to communicate, is that, um, if you can't write because of load shedding, then you need to write it in the supplementary exam that will be in Jan and Feb, which is for me totally unfair. But yeah, the lecturer tried, and unfortunately the exam department just did not want to budge on this. Um, so it's nearly, if there is any way of getting to a place that you have connectivity during that time, that would be price number one. The How the Moodle app, or how it works, is, so you don't it wants to see that you writing the exam. So so you don't need to look at it every time. So you can write on a paper, you can make calculations, you can work. It basically will take random pics of you during the exam. So it does not want to see basically somebody else sitting behind the computer. But it also won't, and I know people say get a quiet room and get that is not always possible. So as long as it doesn't, and it will pick up noise because it will pick up noise from outside to your room and things like that as well. So it's that is not going to penalize you. So it is about seeing that you are doing the work. So if there is way back in the background somebody else, that is not going to be a issue, because it can pick up that it's still you writing, as long as there's not somebody else sitting behind the camera, and that is the most important thing. So the other thing is that the Moodle app, or how you need to log in is, and that is in the TUT letter as well, is just open one frame of that. So it is fine if you're lucky and you have two screens or three screens, or if you have a laptop and you can open a PDF in there, that is fine. As long as you don't have multiple Moodle pages open. Um, but you can have different other windows open, because most of you will have your study guide as a PDF and not as a printed copy. So it is basically, again, because it's open book, there is not a issue that you have things that you can use, as long as it is not another person. So that's why nearly, um, in a sense, try to avoid using your cell phone as a means of doing calculations. Um, or let me rather put it that way, hold up your cell phone if you're on a laptop, so that I rather than put it down that it looks like a calculator that you're working on and those kind of things, just so that it doesn't seem like you are chatting with someone. Um, the WhatsApp group will be closed for that session, that period as well, so that we can't get into any trouble. That they think, because it's very easy for somebody to take a screen grab of a group, and then we're all in trouble. So I will manage that on the day. But if there is any issues, then please take a picture. So if you lose connectivity, if you get errors on the page, if you anything like that happen, please just get a screen grab or get something that you have evidence, because then it is very, I don't want to say very easy, but when you will be able to rewrite the supplementary. Um, and I think that is the big issue for a lot of us on the tutoring side. We know that this is nearly, for a lot of the students, the last their last exam. So that's why it's so important that we, if you are not able to write it, that we at least make sure that you can write a supplementary. Um, Hopefully, maybe still, but I won't put any luck on it. Maybe still the lecturer can sway the exam department, but it does not seem like it. But I think otherwise it is that is nearly how it will be done. Please ask questions because I think that is important. So any questions that that you have around this?
John,
Yes.
what happens to Moodle if our internet connection breaks and then we reconnect after a few seconds?
Now, see
Yeah.
then you will just continue. So the system will you will you will just continue. Um, so it is supposed to be that if if connection drops, um, connection comes back,
Mhm.
and if you're not on that same page, you can log in again and you can continue. Um, what it also does is, and the lecturer said, you please save after question, but in the back it also saves your answer. But just to make 100% sure, after each question, press save and continue. So so that even in the end, if if you've completed 11 questions and then suddenly the system drops or something happens, there is already 11 questions have been answered. The same is if you get to say you have completed a few questions, and you're running out of time, and you just see suddenly, okay, there goes 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, or 1. Just save. It will. So if it even drops after during the session, and you've completed all the questions, it it does save it in the background.
Okay, cool.
But Lynn, what it's supposed to do is when you reconnect, it is supposed to continue where you left off.
Yeah.
And so if it also happens, please take a pic, because it can be that we can get that quickly to the lecturer, that he might go into the system and see if there's something happening.
Okay.
But the system is supposed to to be able to reconnect. The problem for me is more like we had on yesterday, when the system was not available at all. So then if that happens, when you try, and and I know it's early, 7:45, but even if you look at it, say 7 o'clock, you won't be able to go into your exam, but just see if the system is nearly ready. Um, then if you already see there's issues, then please just let me know, because that then is a easier way then for the lecturer to see if he can influence. Um, be, because in previous exams, it was that there might have been a delay in the system being up, and then the lecturer will communicate and that, okay, the exam is extended by 15 minutes or by 20 minutes or something like that. So that is why on WhatsApp as well, I will, if something like that happens, I will send a push notice through to tell you guys that, okay, this is now what happened or something like that. Just that we, because it's still it's still technology, and anything can go wrong with technology nearly, which again is not great. I think most of the universities is actually struggling with the logistics of online exams. But with UNISA now fully moved into that area, it it might be a concern as well. So the earlier nearly one sees if there's an issue, the better.
Okay, John, it happened to me earlier with the mock. So about 4 questions in, I lost connectivity, but luckily when I came back in, my answers were saved. But I didn't check if Moodle was continuing because I was busy answering. So my concern
Please,
was that, it should continue, right? To have the camera on and capture. Um,
precise.
okay, okay,
Yes,
good. Okay, that's the main
yes.
thing. Okay, cool.
See,
I don't want to
so,
be
so
found transgression of
no, see, so
policy. Yeah.
yeah, agree. So that is so if you what you've experienced in the mock exam, that is how it's supposed to be in the exam as well. So if it if you lose connectivity, it is supposed to come back and you can continue. Um, I don't know
The time.
around timing. So
Mm.
that for me is is
Mm.
and that's why they nearly given extra 15 minutes,
Mm.
so that it might be that you only get connectivity in 5 minutes time or something like that. So then I don't know. I don't
Mm.
think the clock stops. So I think that is just also important. So so if that happens again, nearly take pictures and say, because you, you can still nearly continue with your exam, but nearly if you then run out of time, you nearly have proof that it was due to loss of connectivity or something that one can take then further and say, well, okay, um, then you might qualify for a supplementary and things like that. So that at least if something goes wrong, you have proof of that, please.
Okay, there's a hand up. Sorry, John, I'll be quick. So
No,
there's
that's
no
fine.
like, yeah, if
Yes,
there's just for example's sake, if we're down for like 5 minutes or 10 minutes without any internet connectivity, and then Moodle is not running for that time, would that be like a transgression, or is it
no,
really hard to say? Okay.
no, no, it will not. No, so transgressions is that is not a transgression. So that is absolutely purely not your fault. It is it because yeah. So that won't be counted as a transgression at all. So you don't need to worry about if connectivity and those things drop, that it is seen as a transgression and things like that. Not at
But
all.
just the time will continue, unfortunately. There's
Yes,
this, yeah, okay.
yes.
Okay, thanks, John. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
There's another hand.
Afternoon, Jean.
Aye.
I just want to find out the how many questions will the first session have, and how many questions will the second
So
session have, in the time frame, as well as how many minutes are we gonna get to finish the first session, and then we get
cool.
how many breaks. I mean, one break, we're gonna get a one break, but how many time
So okay.
are we
So
gonna have to start the second session?
perfect. So you and so basically you have both sessions will be 13 questions. So in total, that is 26. So what I think it is probably 12 of those questions is 4 marks, and one of the questions is going to be 2 marks, so that you nearly get 50 marks for the first session, 50 marks for the second session, but it is 13 questions. You get 1 hour and 15 minutes per session. So if you finish the first session in 40 minutes, you don't get extra 30 minutes added to the second session. So just be, so there's no need to hurry through the first 13 questions because you will get extra time. So you've got 1 hour and 15 minutes per session. So you basically need to time yourself. So it opens at 7:45. So if you start at 8 o'clock, the first session then is from 8 to 9:10. So then you can nearly take a 15, what is it, 10 past, so you can nearly take a 25-minute break even and then start the next session. Because you just need to finish your second session at 10:45. So you can nearly work backwards to say, well, I need to end at 10:45, so 9:35, I need to start my second session. Um, so and the earliest you can start is 7:45, so you have a gap in between. Um, Also, for the first time, you can actually start with session 2 first, and then second, and then session 1. So you don't need to do it session 1 and then session 2. So you can decide on
Which
that,
session?
which session you want to do first. Session 1 is on study unit 1 to 5, and session 2 is on study unit 6 to 11.
Okay.
And then just be very, very clear on that you won't be able to go back to a question. So I think that's the most important, like your
Yeah, I
your
wanted to ask
assignments
the same.
was, and how your mock exam was. So when you're done with a question, you can't go back. So
Okay.
so please don't, and this has happened before, that students, because like we normally page through when it was a PDF, you page through to see what's the questions kind of. There's nothing like that for the online. So when you start, you start. So you can't go to question 5 and then go back to question 1 again. It's basically question 1, finish, go to question 2, can't go back. So like your assignments was, it if you're done with a question, it's done. You can't go back. Um, how it also will be, and I think that's important, is it your exam will run from study unit 1. So session 1 is study unit 1 to 5. So the questions will run from study unit 1 to 5. So you will not start off that the first question is a question on study unit 5. It will run as in your study guide. The same with session 2. You will start with the normal distribution, and your last questions will be on regression. So that is how that process will be as well. Okay. Did I miss anything else in that? So there is you can take a break in between the 2 sessions. Please try to avoid taking the break while you're writing, and learn that is nearly more the thing that they will be worried about is that when there's a connection, they can pick up there's a connection error. But when you suddenly disappear and the connection is running and you come back after 5 minutes, um, that might seem dodge. So I think that try to do the necessary before you start a session, and that's why there is that break in between just to get yourself settled in for the next session as well. Anything
Cool.
else, guys?
Thanks. That's it.
Then please still continue if there's questions. Ask it on the group. If I'm not there, somebody else will be able to assist. And please go ask tomorrow. It is not the issue. So that if there is anything that you still need to find out, ask on the group. What I will also do is we are in contact, so you guys will see that I ask the lecturer and I just forward with what he's saying on our e-tutor group. So if there is still questions that you want me to ask the lecturer, please ask that. What we have asked, and the lecturer is also inquiring about it, is so if you have load shedding and you can't write, what must you do? Is it that you need to send something to somebody? So we are finding that out, or is it that you just get an automatic rewrite in Jan Feb? So we are asking that, and hopefully before Thursday morning we will have an answer for you. But that is definitely so. If you can't write, what to do, and that hopefully we will have an answer before you write. But again, please. So if you have load shedding, if you can't get anywhere, get that load shedding schedule. That is the proof. So that we just make sure that you then can rewrite in Jan or Feb whenever the supplementary is. If there is a total nearly break of the system like on Monday, then there will be a new date communicated, and that will probably then still be this side of a year. So they will probably then look at new dates, and I think they have made provision somewhere in November for a week of things that nearly if something happens on the day and the whole system is down, what to do, because then nobody can write. So there is things in place for nearly. So that might then be something that will be communicated on WhatsApp to say, okay, but guys, hang in there. This system will only be available at 10 o'clock, and then from 10 you start and you have your time. But I will communicate if anything like that happens on the day. Okay. Yes, Len.
Sorry, I won't be long, John. So if there's load shedding, and it looks like my schedule says that there is for Thursday morning, going into like the workplace or somewhere else that has a stable internet connection, that's still fine, right?
That's still fine.
Yeah.
That is what I would suggest. If anybody, and I think that nice that you asked that, if anybody has access at their workplace, do it at the workplace nearly, because that is if your workplace is enabled with connectivity and those kind of things. If there is, and I know it's very, very disturbing, but if you can get to a UNISA building even that has connectivity, that is also fine. If you can get to a public library that has connectivity, I would even say as far as if you can get into uh, a place that's close to a shopping mall or a coffee shop, even anything that you really think will have connectivity. I know then there will be background noise and those kind of things, but at least it's you writing it. And I think that's the big thing is it will pick up noise, it will pick up all of those things, but it's still your face. And I think that is the most important thing. Yes, we've got another question.
Actually, just the follow-up questions with that, like at the office we have like backup power, but it's open plan, so you'll see people moving in the background. Yeah, would that be fine, or there
That
should?
that will be fine. No,
Okay,
that will be fine because as long as somebody don't come and stand next to you, so it is nearly it will pick up people behind you. That that is fine because but it should be that it doesn't because it will zoom in on your face. And you can nearly test it with a mock exam if if you're writing and or somebody just to go past behind you or something. That won't be, but somebody must not come like like some of our children do during sessions and come and look into the video and those kind of things because then obviously it will recognize a different face. So it's all about nearly it focuses the whole time on your face. So that is so it's not that sensitive that it picks up or that it will be an issue if it's in the workplace and people are because I know our area is also open space, but it's nearly you and like the thing will pick up that you looking at the screen and you working, so that will be fine. So yeah, use that please if you know you have load shedding. Anything else? Um, so then we'll still chat on WhatsApp. I will post this now afterwards as well that you can just. I know we've covered three questions that you can look at, but it's more about just setting you at ease, and that you really. I know I know the anxiety that I'm feeling, so I know you guys are also very anxious about it. So, but yeah, good luck. And but let's if there's still any issues in the next day, let's just chat on WhatsApp.